Got one that has kind of been worn out in many ways. I still use it, and it has "Celebrate the Savior" on. It's kind of a Christmas mug that I bought several years ago, and it's got chips in there, but I still keep it because I kind of like the saying on. I found one the other day, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I bought it, and it says that we rise when we lift others up. And I think that's a great thing to think about. If you want to rise in this world, don't tear people down, lift them up. We could do a whole lot better through lifting each and every one up instead of tearing one another down. I see so many people who are willing to tear people up. We got enough of that. Why don't we try lifting somebody up? You know, as I study the commandments and go through catechism with the children each and every year, I am more and more enthralled with the view that when we look at them, they're actually a positive thing where we're to take care of our fellow human beings, where we are to actually look out for everybody else, even above our own selves. We are to raise others up. You know, that's what we're called to do. I hope that when you see somebody that maybe they even irritate you, maybe they even get under your skin, that instead of cutting them down, try lifting them up for once and see what happens. They don't know how to react when you do that, first of all. But let's lift one another up. Let's help one another rise. And you know what? In this time, especially this time of this pandemic and all of the things that are happening, you know, suicide rates are skyrocketing, depression, anxiety. We see folks just down in the dumps. Maybe we need to raise each other up. And we can do that by just a kind word, by greeting, by hello. It doesn't take a whole lot. It doesn't even take a bunch of money to lift somebody up sometimes, just to send that card, that greeting, just to let somebody know they're cared for. You know, people who commit suicide, if they just knew somebody cared about them, maybe that wouldn't happen. We don't know. Others who are suffering through depression, if they just knew that somebody cared, maybe we could lift them up. And I'm going to tell you something, when you go out into this community, when you go to the store and you see the tellers there, who the checkout folks, I've talked to a lot of them. And I know that a lot of them are down because people are so mean and nasty to them sometimes. Waiters and waitresses, one of the things that they have said to me and others is they do not like Sundays after church when it's normal times. Now, a lot of restaurants and things are only doing takeout right now, but they don't like it. Why? Because Christians are mean. They're ornery. They're nasty people sometimes to them. Be nice. Be cheery. Give a good tip. And you could uplift somebody. And you know what? The rewards of that can uplift each and every one of us. I pray today that God would